So anyway, this evening, Terry Hines is going to present on submitting QSL cards for the DXCC award. We're a little turned around, aren't we, for TNT versus CW Forum? And we did this because of the proximity of this meeting to the Winterfest that's coming up. So this is real timely for Terry to be giving this presentation. So we'll go ahead and get started right straight away. So thank you, Terry.
Sure, absolutely. The process of submitting cards has really not changed. The basic approach is the same, although the league has come up with several automated tools that makes it much simpler and much easier. And what I'll show you at the end is that as part of this application of technology that they've employed to do the QSLing, it has lowered some of the fees. And so at the end, what I'll do is I'll show you the way you want to do this in order to do this at the lowest cost. And essentially all it really means is that by getting the lower cost, you're doing the labor that they would have had to pay some clerk at the league to fat finger the QSOs into their database. If you're doing that online, then they don't have to pay that person, and so that reflects a lower cost to us. So basically there are three ways to do it. The traditional paper QSL approach, which is what everybody's done, which is essentially what you do is you take all your cards, you sort them in the right order, you fill out a sheet of paper, a list, and I'll show you the list that you fill out. You submit it to the card checker, or you mail your cards to the league, which is really expensive, and because they really treat those cards as property that they really have to manage. It costs a lot to get shipped back because they charge you a lot to pack it, and because they send it back as certified mail. So there's a big expense, and most people who send their cards up there also do that. They typically send their cards up by certified mail since they don't want them to get lost. So the three approaches: the traditional paper QSLs. Then there's the online, which is also part of the standard paper QSL approach, and the most recent innovation, of course, is the Logbook of the world, and that approach is considerably different, but very simple also. So the first thing that you want to do is, and the most important thing is you want to get them sorted in the right order. And what you want to do is follow the online DXCC list. Now, one of the things that you'll find is that almost all of the modern logging programs, DX for Win, N1MM, all of the major off-the-shelf commercial logging programs will automatically sort your cards in the order that the league wants them. So you don't have to really do that. When you print out a submission list, it comes out in the order that the league wants them in. Now, I can tell you from personal experience that the ordering is really not important. What's really important when you're submitting your cards is that the cards are in order per your list. So the card, when he flips up the card, he wants to see that on the list at that point, so he can do this thing here. He doesn't want to have to be randomly jumping around. So as long as your cards are in the order that matches your list, you're all right. You'll get no grief from it. You might get a little, I'm sure it'll annoy some people up at the league because their database runs in such a way that they're automatically assuming that your cards that they're going to enter are in the order that they want. So if you're giving them something else, it'll cause them a little additional effort, but that's not a big problem. So that's the one thing. First thing is the and so this is the standard application. This is the form that you fill out, and at the bottom, the one thing that's changed now is that you need to fill out all of the credit card information. The league is shying away from the card checkers collecting the money. They would much rather have all of the fees paid online and upfront. But you can still do this. I mean, because as a card checker, you sit there and you count up all of the fees. You understand what the charges are, and I'll show you the table at the end what those fees are. and as a card checker, you put all of those fees in there, then you have the call sign and all of those things. The second big part of this application is there a particular award? Let's say you're going for a challenge award, or you went to honor roll, or some other major award that you're after, or you're looking for a band endorsement for like 15 meters or something like that, or 5-band DXCC. All of that information about that part of it is over on the right-hand side of the application. So the bottom part is about all the financial, and then the card checker is signed up. Now that's the traditional paper QSL approach.
And this form is available on the...
Absolutely. All of these forms are right offline. I mean, all I did was I just print screened the forms off the ARRL website, and this is what the traditional form looks like. So your call is at the top, and the number of QSOs per page, and then you write down the call, the QSO date, the band, the mode, and the DXCC entity that you have there, and you just keep writing them down. And again, I need to emphasize the fact that when you're writing that list, that's the order that the cards need to be sorted in. That's the one that you'll. Now, for online submissions, it's exactly the same form as the one that I showed you previously, this one here, but you'll see what's happened is that up here in the right-hand corner, and I don't know if you can see it, of the form, is that one of the things about the online submission, you can do the manual card entry. And so what you have is this is the form that you use. So down at the bottom here, where it says call sign, QSO, then these are all drop downs, you know, so the band, the mode, and the DXCC entity, those are all drop down entities, and all you're doing is clicking on the ones that you want. So you add that in, and so every time you hit the save switch, you'll see it appear on the list. So what I did is I left one in there just to show you that that's how the list starts to build. So if you get up to 50 or 60 cards in your list that you're going to submit, you'll see that entire list at the bottom, and that's what you print out now. That list is done online, and that's what you take to the card center, the output from this. And your cards are in that order. It's very fine, very easy to do. Plus, what this now does is all of the financial transactions, all of the money is done online. Now, when you go to the card checker at the Hamfest, one of the things, he can still charge you $1, and that is the dollar that he takes in order to mail your material up to the league. He can still collect that, but I think most of the card checkers, they'll take like 4 or 5, and they'll put 4 or 5 together in a single envelope and send it up. And so they can charge you up to $1, but most of them don't. So, in fact, the guy that's going to be at the Hamfest, you know, our current card checker is deceased, and so John Canode, he will be there though. He will be a card checker for the Hamfest. So you will have coverage for that. So you can bring your cards to the Hamfest to have them checked. So anyway, that's the approach right there. So you'll see this. That's the traditional way of building your list and having your cards checked. Now, one of the features that they've really done to optimize this is that you can now, instead of doing that manually, if you see up there in the corner, up here, the third entry up there, which says import an ADIF, that they will accept an ADIF file. You can just import it in there. So when you click that ADIF, you'll get a little browser screen that comes up, and all you do is point to where that file is, that ADIF file, and hit it, and it'll upload that ADF file off of your logging program directly into that screen, and that list will be generated automatically. You don't have to do it manually. So it's pretty cool. And if you know, like all of the current logging programs allow you to select that. Very easy to set that up so that it'll print those ADIF files for you and upload that. So that's the one that where you go to the Hamfest. And so when you go to the Hamfest with your cards, it's either the traditional approach where you've manually written down on that list, that sheet of paper that I showed you earlier, that sheet right there, or you come up with that list, that down here at the bottom, at the thing, when you've built all your cards, when you have that list will be complete. That'll be a long sheet at the end, and that's what you print out, and that's what you take. So those are the two approaches. The last one that's left is Logbook of the World. And this is in order to do that, you have to have an LOTW account. And it's very simple. This is even easier because all you do is hit the awards button. Oops, slipped too far. And then you hit application, and that's the next step. And then here's the simple part of it. All you do is go down and check. All you hit is the box. And all you do is click on the box for every card that you want to include in your submission. That's all you do. You don't have to do another thing. Just click on those cards. It automatically keeps track of how many you've clicked. It automatically figures out how much you owe. It's simple. I mean, it can't be any simpler to do. And now that you don't have to take the cards, obviously, because the league already knows that QSO is valid because it's on the LOTW database. So you don't have to do anything. That's a simple way to. Plus, let me show you now here's the bottom line about this whole thing. Here are the fees. Now look at what you see. The traditional paper card fees for members of the league, it's $16. You get the first 101 cards for as part of the application, the $16 fee. For each card over 101, you pay 15 cents, and then there's all of these other fees. If you want the lapel pin, the certificate, all of those other costs is what you're paying for, and that's what's factored in on that application sheet. That's what the card checker is making sure that you've paid. So now,
Terry, can I interrupt you for a moment? We've been kicked out of the lecture room. We're going to be moving into the library.
Oh.
So I'm not sure who needs help move the food stuff.
Yeah, we can do it. We can manage it later.
So anyway, here's the online fee, half the price. It's gone from $16 to $8. So all you're doing is you're doing the labor that they would have had to pay for. So everything else is the same. All of the other fees is exactly the same. And here's the last one, the LOTW. Look, it's $5.50, but you pay 12 cents for each card. There's no the first 101 are free. You pay 12 cents for every card that they check. But it's simple. It's very easy. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Can we use the card checker for other awards like Worked All Continents?
Because the league checker is the DXCC. You have to find if it's a CQ award, they don't check those. You have to find somebody now. John.
Isn't Worked All Continents?
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm saying is there's other awards out there, like the I'm trying to think of the IOTA, the Islands on the Air. That award, that's not an ARRL award, so you've got to find a CQ magazine checker to check those cards. Now, some of the guys who are card checkers do them all. They will do CQ. They'll do and check all of those other awards. And of course, the Islands on the Air is a Radio Society of Great Britain. That's their award. So you have to deal with that. Now they do have certified card checkers here in the U.S. for that award. But when you call one of the card checkers that's on the list, which you also find under the DXCC drop-down list on the ARRL site, that person, you ask him if he could check cards for other awards besides DXCC. The UHF, VHF, UHF, CC award, he can check for you. Those are all, but some of these other ones that are out there are not. They don't do automatically. Yes.
So if he doesn't, he won't count him for that the award you're going for. You have to take him back and send him to someplace else
Yes.
afterwards.
You have to get him. Yeah, if you're looking for a CQ award, like a worked all zones or some word like that, then you
have to start all over again.
Well, no, you don't have to start. You can use the same cards. I mean, it's
Right.
the
No,
award, the card is
submission.
Yeah, the submission you have to do to somebody else. Correct. Absolutely, yes, sir.
If we have a card that's a printout from an EQSL contact, does that count? Or is it acceptable?
It is acceptable. It's as long as it's a printed card. But you know, they will take them. They'll accept that card. Theoretically, it's supposed to be mailed, but they do accept the QSL cards. So, yes, sir.
Terry, can you go over some of the things that you're looking for that voids a card? This used to be big when I was small.
Oh, absolutely. Any things that looks like it, anything that looks like it's been marked over, you know, looks like it's been changed or something like that. The big problem, of course, is the 160 meters cards, because that's 1.8 megahertz, and it's also 18 megahertz in the band.
That's right.
Which is 17 meters. And so there's a lot of guys that try to slip 17 meter cards into the 160 stack, and that's the one thing you're constantly looking for. That's an ongoing attempt to do that way.
I understand it. I understand for the card checker for 160 meter DXCC, you have to have a 160 meter checker.
You have to have a guy, he has to have a DXCC on 160 to be a 160 checker.
So I remember that one.
Right.
John Commode still told me about that one.
Right, John Canode, he's of course, being a director, he can check anything. I mean, he can also even check some of the old deleted country cards. If you somehow pull a 1950 card from some trying to think of the country that he uses. It's one of Lebanon, before it was split. He can check that card that if it was before 1950, before the country split up into two. So that's that. But he's a director. He's unusual in that respect. It's fortunate that we have him around here that he can do that one for us.
I have the benefit of it.
Yes, sir.
One more thing, Terry. When you guys take your cards for 100 countries, take 100 or 105. Don Search, my good old friend, always used to tell me, we're gonna find at least 2 that aren't any good. And sure as heck, when I showed up to my first DXCC, one was made out to WA6YOB, bing, and another guy had crossed out his call sign and wrote another call sign, and that voided that one. So, they're very picky.
They are, but that's what holds the integrity of the
Yes.
award. Is by the scrupulous examination of your cards, and it takes a while to get it done. But most of the checkers will allow you to drop off the stack of cards and the application form, and you can go off to the Handfest and come back later on and pick them up.
You mean I can buy a college degree online, but I can't buy a DXCC?
Depends on what good it's gonna be for you.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
So what about old call signs? You know, my call sign from back in the 80s, which isn't in the ULS and all that stuff. How do you prove that you were who you say you were from way back when?
You have to you show that from your previous.
License?
Yeah, you have to be able to show them that you held that license at some
So you bring
time.
the paperwork of all.
But of
the
course,
other
you know,
ones.
there's all sorts of the other rules about the fact of how geographically how far away you were from where those were. I mean, that's part of the, I didn't mean to make this a briefing on the rules related to DXCC. But you have to stay in a certain geographical area. If you move to the other side of the you know,
Try to complete your
you go to
contest.
California, you're starting over again. Because you're too far away.
I thought any place in North America was good.
No, they change, they, yes, sir.
As a matter of fact, for worked all states, yes, for DXCC, no.
Worked all states,
really?
correct.
Worked all states, absolutely, you gotta stay in your 55. For DXCC, it was anywhere in the United States.
Right. For
Outside Alaska, Hawaii.
VUCC, right.
Okay.
Because I was able to count, I got the XCC because they were pulling in my Minnesota cards.
Okay.
I was operating from Minnesota.
So any other questions?